A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on the Thursday edition of the show. I'm me, Adebayo. Well, the dust has settled. We can see clearly now. Uh, you can see the rain is gone. We're still picking the pieces of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers as regards the Super Eagles. And of course, we'll be talking about Group C in focus. Can anything still happen? Some will say the Super Eagles are still in with a mathematical chance, and once there's still a mathematical chance, then you should not say it is over. But there are those who feel it is over. Let's start thinking about the Nations Cup. Let's start thinking about how to develop football in Nigeria. Some have even gone ahead to say there should be some resignations here and there. So a lot of these things we will discuss on the show. Uh, my colleague Austin is unavoidably absent, but of course, we will do our best to make it up to you on the show tonight. Let me quickly introduce my guest in the Lagos studio. Damilola Onifade joins us now. Damilola, um, I don't know what to say. I won't give you the chance to say I told you so. I know you said a few things, but I won't give you the chance to say I told you so. Greetings to you. Thanks for being here with us this lovely Thursday.
It's a pleasure being here. 48 hours after what was probably another low point for Nigerian football. But then it is what it is. We know that we might be here a few months ago, and finally, like you said, the dust has settled. We need to start, if we can still pick the pieces of whatever is left of this campaign, this 2026 World Cup qualifier, maybe, but I'm not optimistic, and I am not praying. Like some people will say that we should pray, no, because I think people that have worked that are praying, they deserve a reward for it. I'm not sure we do, and so for that reason, I won't bother myself.
All right, a lot of people share your sentiment as well. Bada Johnson joins us as well. Greetings to you, Bada. Thanks for finding time to be with us on the show tonight.
Hi guys, a pleasure to be on the show. I was hoping that I was coming on the show to celebrate, Nigeria's um, attempt to close the gap on South Africa going to plan, or going well, or going positively. Unfortunately, that's not the case. We've found ourselves in a scenario where even a miracle might not save us. So it's a shame because I remember when the draws were made, it seemed like we had a free pass to the World Cup. Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Rwanda. Um, no disrespect to them, Benin Republic. Those are not countries that ordinarily should be stopping a star-studded Super Eagles team from going to the World Cup. But somehow we have contrived to almost completely blow the opportunity to be in the US, Canada, and Mexico next year. If you look at the table or the standings of just the second place teams, if you're considering that we may still have a chance of finishing as one of the best second place teams, you look at that table, there are at least six, seven, other teams that have got more points than Nigeria, sitting on 16, 17, some of them even 18 points, whereas Nigeria is sitting on 11 points. So for us to have a chance, we require those teams to lose their remaining two games, while we win maximum points from ours. And as the guest in the studio already said, God is not partial. He's not going to unduly favor us at the expense of those who have prepared and fully deserve the points that they have on the board. So it's a shame that it's come down to this, and Nigeria might be missing the second consecutive World Cup finals. But it can also be a blessing in disguise depending on what we do with the pain. If we go back to the drawing board, as we like to say, but this time actually mean it. Go back to the basics, sort out the rot in our football administration, and get the structures and the systems that should be in place to be in place. Fix our local league. Look at the show of shame at the Chan as well. The championship for home-based Africa based footballers was a bloodbath. Nigeria was disgraced. Two consecutive losses before we finally saved face with a win in the last game. So, to be honest, these are not the best of times for Nigerian football, but it depends on what we do with the pain. It can be a blessing in disguise in the future.
All right. Brother says it can be a blessing in disguise. I agree, but there's some who will tell you, Damlola, that we've been here before. Do we really learn? Um, I don't mean to sound harsh. We've seen countries where immediately this happens, you see resignations. You see a lot of this happening, signaling that there will be change. But it looks to me, some will say it's just 2 days, but it looks to me that the people in the football ecosystem just want to weather the storm because they know we have a short memory. By this time next month, back to business.
I'm not optimistic that anything will change. We've been here before. We didn't qualify for the last World Cup. And
You know, when we didn't qualify,
we said the
it
same
was
thing.
unimaginable to think
that will not qualify
for the next one.
I mean, particularly when you're having more African teams at this World Cup. To say that out of 9 African teams, Nigeria will not be there was something you will find difficult to conceive. But then, but I said, I want to borrow his words that we have contrived to be here. I do not think that we are here because other teams, in terms of talent, are better. We are here because we do not do what we ought to have done. And like I said earlier, other things are being rewarded for their years of investment, for their years of diligent work. And we're seeing the results. We didn't do that. We've not done enough. And I don't think anything will change. I would be shocked if anybody resigns. I would be shocked if anybody from the administrators take responsibility. You can see from the first press statement that we see that we are trying to throw even our own players under the bus.
Throw the coach and the players under the bus.
You could see that, and
that's the
mindset.
Game plan.
Like you said, it's easy for us to forget. I would say, to be fair to the average Nigerian fan, if we go to the Nations Cup in December and we do well, probably win the Nations Cup, even get to another final, most people will forget until the World Cup is here. That's where we remember that, oh, we are not going to the World Cup. But that's the nature of fans anyway. But I'm not optimistic that anything will come out of this. I really am not. And if anything will come out of it, it's also not going to be a 4-year journey that will get us into a better position for the next World Cup. I've always said that the few successes we've had in football, in my view, they're accidental because we have struggled to repeat it. We won the 2013 World Cup as a quick example. 2013, right? The last Nations Cup. And then we didn't qualify for the next two. We got to the final of the last AFCON, and then we are not qualifying for the next World Cup. Do you understand? So we've not been able to sustain success at, I think, after 94, 96. And I mean, even from the 1980s, after the first Nations Cup, we didn't win another until 1994. So it's becoming a culture. It's a bad thing, but it's a culture that I do not know how we're going to rid ourselves of it. It's a culture that I am also not optimistic that our administrators actually know what to do to get us out of these routes. Because it's like, I mean, by the time the elections comes by, it's the same names that you will see. And then if you're optimistic that anything will change, then one is just deceiving himself.
You know, we're supposed to be talking about the slim to nothing chances of Nigeria qualifying for the World Cup. But some will say if the mathematics is still there, the possibility is still there. That's on one side. But I want to ask you this question. This current crop, that's something that should not be lost on us. This current crop, the Victor Osimhen's, the Ademola Lookmans, will not get the chance to play at the World Cup in their prime. Because I doubt if these guys will still be on the same level in the next 4 years. So the question is, such a tragedy, should it not lead to an awakening that will send shock waves that will make us make the necessary changes?
You couldn't have chosen a better word than tragedy, to be honest. You have Victor Osimhen in his prime, one of the top marksmen in world football, banging in goals for club and country. He's going to certainly finish his international career Nigeria's highest goal scorer of all time because he's very close to catching Rashidi Yekini, who's sat on that perch for the longest time. Before he retires, clearly he's going to outscore Rashidi Yekini in the green and white of Nigeria. But by the time the next World Cup comes around, in 2030, he will be in his 30s. And people may argue that Lionel Messi only won the World Cup as a 33-year-old or 32 in Qatar a few years ago. And so he might make it. But Messi didn't win the World Cup in his prime. Let that be known. Messi in his prime was the Messi that scored 96 goals in a calendar year in 2012. That Messi didn't win the World Cup, even though he got to the final in 2014. So Osimhen, Ademola Lookman, Alex Iwobi, Olaino, the current core of our team, the goalkeepers, all of the guys are going to be well over 30 or just above 30 when the World Cup comes. And if you take a team that is predominantly 30 years and above to a World Cup, they're not going to do well. They're not going to go far. So we will most likely be taking them in the twilight of their careers when the legs are going to the World Cup. So it's really a tragedy. The talent is not in doubt, it's there. We've got some of the biggest talent pool in the world. In fact, I was listening to the South African commentators when that game was on Tuesday, alluding to the fact that the embarrassing riches of footballers that Nigeria has got at the highest level, judging by the clubs they play for, should mean that they are steamrolling teams. But that's not the case. In 8 matches, in 8 World Cup qualifier matches, the only team we have beaten is Rwanda. Guys, let that sink in. We have only beaten Rwanda home and away in this qualification series. We haven't managed to beat any other team. If you got 3 points after the first 4 matches in the qualification series for the World Cup, you have no business even aspiring to be there. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute shambles. It's embarrassing. But as you said, Nigerians have a very short memories. If we go to Morocco in a few months and we manage to put some decent results together, the next thing we forget. But there's no denying the fact that we've wasted the prime years, the most productive parts of the careers of this crop of players who, if they came from a different country, they will be aptly dubbed the golden generation of that particular country. But because Nigeria has had all manner of golden generations in the past, the '94 team that won the Cup of Nations in Tunisia, that went to the second round at the first time of asking in the United States at the World Cup. Some of those players were in the '96 team in Atlanta that won Africa's first Olympic gold medal in football. We had won the AFCON before then in 1980 at home, the Odegbamis, the Okalas, the Christian Chukwus. Nigeria has always produced top quality talent in football, and so we take things for granted. Cape Verde, or Cape Verde, as some people will call them, an island nation of just about, say, 150 people or 300,000 people, is likely going to be at the World Cup, and the most populous black nation in the world. 1 out of every 4 black men you find anywhere in the world is in Nigeria. That country that we like to refer to as the Giant of Africa is not going to be at the World Cup. And it's not the first time. We're not in Qatar. We were in Russia in 2018 to make up the numbers. We did nothing remarkable, remotely remarkable. So it's a shame. There has to be, accountability. The people who are responsible have to, face the consequence of it. And we have to press the reset button. This cannot continue. It is not sustainable. We cannot continue to embarrass ourselves in this manner. We cannot continue to break the hearts of millions of Nigerians who take solace, who take a lot of, positives in an otherwise not so positive environment from football, the joys that football delivers to them. And deny them that again is absolutely unforgivable, inexcusable, absolutely reprehensible.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, let me just quickly go across. Like I said, once there's a mathematical chance, you still have to talk about it. But then again, you need to ask yourself, even if a miracle happens, with the way we're playing, do we even deserve to be at the World Cup. It's something that also should be said. But let me just go across and talk about it. And there's the little matter of whether or not South Africa will be docked points. But we'll see. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about the Super Eagles first. We'll go up against Lesotho on October 6th. Then, of course, Benin Republic will come calling October 13th. So we talk about that as well. Let's talk about the remaining matches for Bafana Bafana. And I mean, you would have to be very brave to expect that Bafana Bafana will not beat Zimbabwe at home. We don't get at least a draw against Zimbabwe at home, or will not beat Rwanda. I mean, okay, they'll travel away to Zimbabwe, still the same region, if you ask me, and will not beat Rwanda. So even if the points get docked, and I don't think the points will get docked anyway, we will talk about that as we go on. Okay, let's look at the fixtures for Benin Republic. Benin Republic, we have to go through Nigeria, so we might even be doing South Africa's job for South Africa. For South Africa, it's really, really sad. And of course, Benin Republic, by the time they beat Rwanda, they'll be up to 17 points. And of course, they'll come against Nigeria. And of course, Nigeria, hoping at that time that the miracle will happen, will probably cut them to size and make it happen for South Africa. This is the table a lot of us, it's depressing to look at this table. After 8 matches, you look at Nigeria in the third position. So a lot of people talking about the runner-up league, runner-up table. We're not even there now because we're in the third position. It must be said. So we're in the third position after 8 matches, 11 points. South Africa leads the pack. They need just a draw. So I think by now all of the calculators should not be thrown out because it's not going to work. They need just a draw. And I don't see them not getting a draw in 2 matches. Benin Republic in 14, on 14 points, second position, and of course Nigeria, and of course the other 3 not in contention at all. All right, Damilola, let me come to you. Many issues. We'll need to go on a break in a minute or 2, but many issues. Are you surprised that FIFA CAF has not done anything about the issue of the ineligible player fielded? That's on one side. Do you also think that if South Africa gets, theoretically now, hypothetically, if South Africa gets dock point, some people say it favors Benin Republic more than it favors us?
No, because they are third on the table. They are second on the table, right behind South Africa. It does. And then that gives Lesotho 9 points. I mean, their case is done. I'm surprised that FIFA has not said anything. I'm using what said anything, not even making a final position on the matter. But if the silence is a bit worrying, and the silence for me, because this thing is simple. The rules are there.
The word thrown out there is that Lesotho did protest, so we're not the offended party. You know, the interpretation.
Whatever it is, FIFA
rules are rules.
The point is, before this last set of games, FIFA should have made their position known. I'm not even interested whether FIFA dock point or not. I mean, to look at this table, it's probably the most depressing thing you've seen as a Nigerian since Tuesday, and it's quite shameful. It's quite disturbing that we're here, but it is what it is. We've not done the work. 2 wins out of 8, and to think that the man that even has the credit for the 2 wins is the last coach that we currently have, Eric Schell. We've had 3 coaches doing this qualifier.
Let me throw this in, because I'm being told we have to go on a break in a few seconds. But let me throw this in. Eric Schell, you mentioned him just now. It's another conundrum. What do you do? Keep him, fire him.
Who will fire him? There is nobody in that NFF that has the moral rights to fire him. I would say it both.
But there has to be a scapegoat.
Then it shouldn't be. For me, if you have to, our only chance of even doing anything decent at the Nations Cup for me was to keep Eric Schell. Who will you bring?
But you have the media department already criticizing the tactics used by the coach.
Let's go on break.
All right, we need to go on a break. It's getting interesting. Bada is still with us. When we come back, we'll look at all of these issues. Should the Super Eagles return to playing in Lagos? A lot of people have said that as well. There are some performances you won't get away with the Lagos fans. Maybe that's another factor as well. Let's go on that break. We'll return for more. That's what's tonight. All right. welcome back. We've been talking about the Super Eagles and the dismal performance in the qualifiers. Of course, somebody who's been talked about in so many ways is the coach of the team, Eric Shell. A lot of people, I mean, it's been generating talking points, mixed. It's a mixed bag. But let's listen to Eric Shell, his own analysis of what went wrong and his thoughts immediately after that 1-1 draw against South Africa's Bafana Bafana.
So we are professional. So it's the 2 games, and for sure, this player want to win these 2 games. For now, actually at this moment, it's difficult for us because we wanted to win, and I think we did everything. So in 1 month we have the 2 last game. A lot of things can happen in 1 month, and for sure, a lot of things about the point, about the team, about everything. So just we need to analyze this game once again, and after that we will see after the 2 last game. So I think South Africa is better than the AFCON, this team, because they play well. The pitch was very, very, very bad. But they play well. They try to play well, like us. And like I said, for us it means something. Maybe the last choice or the last technical skill. But in my judgment, there is a lot of power in this team, in Nigeria team, and for sure I need to work again with this team because we started to build something, and they need to understand quickly the philosophy when we have the ball and when we don't have the ball, the game project, and of course the game plan.
All right, Eric Shell. Hate him or love him, some will be quick to remind you that of the 11 points that we have, he's gotten us 8 of those points. So you might be careful if you're going to say that maybe you do not like his tactics. His stats for Nigeria are not as bad as it looks. That must be said. But whether or not you like his style of play, you like him as a coach, is a different matter altogether. Let me quickly go to Bada. I mean, let's begin to talk about these things, a lot to pick out. Eric Shell, what's your position on Eric Shell? Your thoughts? Should we keep him? Should we let him go? In the time he has spent with the Super Eagles, how impressed are you?
So, I mean, I think he's been dealt a very, very difficult hand. When it came, our World Cup hopes were already hanging by a thread. And when you're a national team coach, you go anywhere in the world, ask elite coaches, go ask Thomas Tuchel, who's coach of England now. One of the hardest things to find is time to train. He hasn't had time with the first team or our established first team. The longest he's had with this team, he had in, I think, end of May, when Nigeria played the invitational 4-nation tournament, Unity Cup in London against Jamaica and Ghana. But most of the boys he had with him either had never played for Nigeria before or had been fringe players like Cyril Desas, who led the line in that competition. Tolu Adokodare had played a few minutes. He had played in that competition. Benjamin Fredericks, who must be the biggest find in Nigerian football in the last 3 to 5 years, as far as I'm concerned. One of the hardest positions to play on the football pitch is as a centre back. And that boy is acing it at just 20 years old. It's incredible. He's a phenomenal talent. We saw him for the first time as a Brentford B player at the Unity Cup. And he's brought that boy into the line of fire straight away because he recognized the quality, having spent time with him. But he's not had the same luxury with the bulk of his team. Had he played the Unity Cup team in these qualifiers and we failed to get maximum points, he would have been blamed. He would have been blamed, bashed, battered for experimenting with our World Cup hopes. So he's gone with the established order, he's gone with the established players that he's barely had time to train with, and look at the results. The style of play, I mean, I'm not surprised, isn't impressive. Against South Africans, for instance, for the longest part of the first half, we were chasing shadows because they were running rings around us with their, short, intricate passing game, quick movements. They were playing us off the park, to be honest. And I'm going to pick South Africa as a reference point. I remember after South Africa hosted the World Cup in 2010, Danny Jordan, who was the chief executive of the World Cup organizing committee, was asked after the World Cup in an interview that I would never ever forget, what the World Cup's biggest legacy was. And he said in the course of organizing the World Cup, he found that the legacy that the World Cup was going to, the biggest legacy that the World Cup was going to leave in South Africa wasn't going to be the stadia, wasn't going to be the physical infrastructure. It was going to be learnings from the best footballing countries in the world, especially Spain, England, France, Germany. And what was that learning? He said, across every weekend in those countries, there are at least 15 to 18,000 organized football games at under 15 and less, from under 15 to under 5-4. Those matches are called organized because there'll be officiating, there will be referees, there will be linesmen, maybe no VAR. There will be a pitch with grass on it to play on. There will be a crowd. There will be the parents, guardians, friends, family members of the players in attendance. And that's how you build the factory that produces what is sustainable success for the senior national team. But in our case, we've been relying heavily on players who, up until we invited them to the national team, or just before we invited them to the national team, we don't even know they existed. A lot of players who had hopes of representing England, representing Germany, all of a sudden they realize that those hopes may not materialize, and then they default to Nigeria because one of their parents is originally from Nigeria. And that's how we've been getting by. We have failed to build the infrastructure back home. The talent pathway is not there. The best of our talent, before they can even learn to pass 5 yards, are already hopping on planes, attending trials abroad, hoping to be snapped up by Division 4, Division 5 clubs in Malta, Latvia, Kazakhstan, and Moldova. And we wonder why we're struggling to qualify for World Cups. Look at South Africa. I lived there for the better part of 4 years. When Real Madrid and Barcelona are playing, Manchester United is playing Manchester City, Manchester Derby, and everybody's running all over Nigeria trying to get in front of their TV at home or in viewing centers to watch European teams. If there is a PSL game on TV, that's what everyone is watching. I used to find it quite odd because I stayed in hotels and I would go to the bar hoping to find these big European games on TV. But all the TV sets there will be on PSL matches. They'll be watching Amazulu versus Cape Town City, or Mamelodi Sundowns against Kaiser Chiefs, or Bloemfontein Celtics against Mamelodi Sundowns. And look at them today. 99.9% of that Bafana team that will be going to the World Cup is drawn from that league. They have an established playing style. Mamelodi Sundowns has dominated continental football for the better part of the last decade. And we are still wondering why we're playing catch-up. If we don't fix things, and it's not a prediction of doom, it's just what it is. In a short while, we'll be struggling to qualify for even AFCON with the way things are going, despite possessing an embarrassing plethora of world-class talent in our ranks. And it's just heartbreaking. That's absolutely heartbreaking.
It is. It is. It is. All right. Let's look at the teams that have qualified. I mean, the world will not wait for Nigeria. It's moving on. Let me go across and take a look at the list of teams. The host nations, of course, three nations will be hosting this: United States, Canada, and Mexico. You already know that. But what about the teams that have qualified? Let's quickly show that to our viewers tonight as we look at the teams that have made it to the Mundial. You have from the Asian Confederation, Australia, Iran, Japan, Jordan, South Korea, and Uzbekistan qualify. And of course, other confederations, Oceania, New Zealand qualified. In South America, which is always keenly contested, you have Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Uruguay, Colombia, and Paraguay. Those countries have qualified. And of course, in Africa, the teams that are well structured, well organized, they've done their business, and they can rest after 8 matches. Morocco and Tunisia, they've done the job. They have qualified for the World Cup 2026. And of course, you know what? Bit of news concerning the Super Eagles. The Super Eagles will be playing a friendly, of course, against Venezuela on November 14th. Damilola, I want to ask you. It's a bit comical. I hope, I hope that our heads will be in the right place when we play that friendly.
Where should our heads be? I mean, we're supposed to be planning for the Nations Cup and we're playing Venezuela. We have started. We have started. You said it the other time that what will change. I said nothing will change, and you can see it almost immediately. Notice, wherever our heads will be, the most important thing is that let's just see the best we can get out of these Nations Cup. For the sake of the players, I hope that we're going to have. We'll move on after this tragedy, like you mentioned the other time, and have a decent Nations Cup, because I believe that friendly is preparing us for the Nations Cup. That's why I'm emphasizing.
That's very obvious. We're not going
because
to World Cup.
If this set of players will not win will not play at the World Cup, at least a Nations Cup medal might compensate at
Bit of consolation.
For them moving on. I mean, it's easy but I was speaking. I was wondering again, even though it hit me a few days ago, that in this same set of players, we've had 2 African footballers of the year.
Yeah.
Back to back. And
it's not an issue of quality. It's not quality.
It's not about quality. It's just about we're not doing what we're supposed to do, not getting administration right, and always embarrassing ourselves.
Right.
And it's quite shameful. It's quite shameful.
It is quite shameful. All right, Bada, before we let you go, your parting shot on the show tonight. My question will be, you've talked about the remedy. We're hoping that the administrators will listen to us, fix the problem. But do you think it's going to be easy to move on? Because it's looking obvious that we're not going to be at the World Cup. Damilola said, look, playing against Venezuela means we're already thinking about the Nations Cup. But how easy do you think? Will there still be an hangover for this crop of guys who know they should be at the World Cup? Will it be easy transitioning to forgetting about the World Cup and going on to probably the Nations Cup and see what pieces they could pick?
Clearly, there's a part of them that feel like they owe the nation some kind of make good performance at a major tournament. Their generation hasn't really won anything. The last time we won AFCON was 2013. I'm certain there is not one single member of this team who was there at the time. I had to think about it twice because Ahmed Musa was still playing at the Unity Cup the other day, and I don't know if he's effectively out of this Super Eagles now. I wouldn't be surprised if he's there at the AFCON. But yeah, point is, these guys haven't won anything. And it'll be a shame if they retire without any sort of silverware for Nigeria. Their talent would have been wasted. I don't care whether they win Champions Leagues and win multiple league titles across Europe. If you haven't won something as great as Lionel Messi's club career was, he was going to be deemed a failure by Argentinians. And for the most part, in the football world, if he didn't win the World Cup, there's still a huge question mark on Cristiano Ronaldo's career because he's not scored a knockout goal at the FIFA World Cup. And he's looking to correct that, which is why he's still putting in the work, being the hardest worker in training, being the most punctual person, with all of the accolades he's won. So this crop of Nigerian players have to recognize that sadly their careers may be going down in the annals as failures in the books of many, many people if they don't do something. So I hope that they can switch the mindset from feeling sorry for themselves, feeling sorry for the nation to, hey guys, now we've got to come together and produce the football quality that we've never produced in the colors of Nigeria at the next AFCON in Morocco, go there, win AFCON, and we can begin to, steer the destiny of our country, football-wise, in the right direction of travel. Right now, we're a little bit lost, and we need to get back on track. Sacking the manager is not going to do it. Clearing these guys away and bringing another crop of players is not going to do it.
Yeah.
What's going to do it actually is setting the right structures in place, getting the right people to run our football,
All right.
and going for.
All right. But I honestly want to thank you for your time on the show tonight. Hopefully, we'll do this some other time.
Thank you so much for having me as usual.
All right. All right. So let's spend a few minutes we have to talk athletics. The upcoming World Athletics Championship is hotting up. And of course, athletics legend Usain Bolt has been talking about his Jamaican team and is expecting them to light up the world. And of course, he's backing them to do well. Let's listen to Usain Bolt. Damlola will tell us, share his thoughts with us. Usain Bolt has really had it weight. I don't think the speed is there anymore. But let's quickly listen to him. And we'll come back for more.
It's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
We have a very good chance this year. It's all about if they can execute and hold their heads this year, and just not listen to the noise and just to go to execute, because there's no reason they shouldn't be 1-2, because they're in the top fastest times in the world this year and they've been competing and doing well. So it's just about going out there and executing, and it should be fine. So I'm very confident that they can get it done. No, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I think the talent is there. There will be talented athletes coming up and they will do well, but at this present moment, I don't see the individual to break the world record. I've always hoped that maybe one of my boys will run track and field. I don't know. They're not showing any talent yet, but hopefully
No
one of them
pressure
can
for
break
them,
the world
right? No
record.
pressure.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't think Noah is as crazy as dealing with Justin. So for me, it's no difference. I think Gatlin over the years, we pushed him back and forth. He was a different breed because he came up in the era where trash talking was just normal to everybody. So for me, and as you know, I never listen to anybody. I know when I'm prepared and I'm ready, you can say whatever you want, you're not going to beat me. So I'm always focused and ready.
All right, you can say that again. Always focus on ready. And Damlola is backing his countrymen and women. I wouldn't expect him to do otherwise anyway, but we both agree that man for man, woman for woman, in comparison, this current crop of Jamaican athletes cannot be as dominant as the Jamaicans were during this era.
Maybe the word is not cannot be, but at this World Championship,
yeah,
it's not there. They are not there yet. But because don't forget that Bolt himself didn't just come up like a flash. He's been there and wasn't noticed, and he kept growing. And then the moment he hits it, until he was ready to leave, nobody could beat him. And I think maybe he has also seen something. He probably was at their camp and is believing that this World Championship can just drop a star, another Jamaican star. Many of us would be interested to see who that person will be. It will be quite. I see this World Championship to be a very competitive one. I hope that Nigeria also comes out of it with some
With
decent
something?
models. I mean, I hope he's hinging on, as usual,
Yeah.
one or two names. Toby Amusan, hopefully the occasion will not get to her this time. And she can do something for Nigeria. But for the Jamaicans, one thing is certain: if you're wearing that Jamaica jersey, there is hopes that expectations are on you to do something. And I think that's what Bolt is just trying to do, to see how they can compete. Because globally, really don't have that standout star like his generation as well. So if he's believing that Jamaicans will do something, it's because he has also looked through the ranks and really, who is that standout star?
And he's,
that
I
he
don't
can
know,
say is
he
unbeatable?
doesn't seem to be too impressed with Noah Lyles. We don't really have much time we'll talk about because there are one or two Jamaicans, getting close to Noah Lyles. Maybe one of them can
That's
do
what
that.
I'm saying. There is really no. Yes, Noah is good, but it's. I mean, when Bolt was running in the days of Bolt, the Michael Johnsons, even Morris Green to some extent, if certain players, certain athletes are not with him, you know that he will most likely win. We don't have that standout star yet
push
in
them.
this generation.
All right.
Maybe after this World Championship, then we see the step up.
All right, let's quickly talk about another bona fide star. Mondo Duplantis, the man everybody's talking about, pole vote king, breaking record after record. I mean, it's news when he breaks record. If he doesn't break record, you begin to wonder what's happening. Is he not participating at the event? So, want to see if Mondo Duplantis will also give us something to talk about, of course, at this championship. All right, let's quickly see if we can listen to Duplantis. We'll come back for more.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's one of it's like a bucket list place to compete at and also just experience the culture of the city and whatnot. And I feel like all of us didn't really get that experience in the Olympics last time. Yeah, and it was just very, it was very strange for everybody, very apocalyptic almost in a way, and just like really, in a lot of ways, not enjoyable, honestly, and just scary. So I'm very excited to be here and we get to have like a more real, true experience where you get to kind of have the real meaning of sports, which is, I guess, bringing people together and have the sense of community. So I'm really excited about that, to see what the crowd has to offer. I know the stadium's like super beautiful and nice, and a place that you can jump really well, and then also just like exploring the city.
All right, you have those athletes, those moments, Usain Bolt and China, Beijing somehow. Mondo Duplantis, bona fide star. Do you think he can, in a few seconds, do you think he can shoulder the weight that Usain Bolt did for athletics for a period of 10, 12 years?
I think he can, and the capacity is there. I mean, if he breaks the world record again, this will be the 14th time.
He does it for fun.
I mean, like you said, if he doesn't break a record, then that's when you start asking, was he even there? At
was
all?
he there?
Because it's something that you expect. I think the capacity is there. The expectations are quite high on him, and I think he can carry the sport. He's doing a bit of that already. I wouldn't bet against him. Let me put it that way.
All right, I wouldn't as well. Well, I guess that's a good place to let it land on the show tonight. I want to thank Damilola Onifade. I didn't give him the chance to say I told you so. He will say it off camera. But I want to thank Damilola Onifade for his time on the show today.
Actually, I told you so. I have to. It's nice when you hear me.
All right, that's the show. We do hope you enjoyed everything we've been able to bring to you today. See one more edition for the week, before the week runs out. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.